Welcome to the latest episode of the Softy and Blogger podcast. With me, as always, is Dave Softy Mahler at SoftyKJR on Twitter. How are you doing, dude?
I'm good. I'm looking at myself on camera for the first time in a couple of weeks, and I feel fatter after stuffing my face with Thanksgiving food for the last 4 days. I mean, think about you had Thanksgiving Thursday, leftovers on Friday. I went to the Husky game on Saturday, and when you're there with two other people, the only things to do are watch the game and eat. So I got fat again on Saturday, fat again with leftovers yesterday. Man, I got to lose some weight, dude. I have put some weight on since I last saw you. Holy cow. Look at me. I'm a pig. Look at this face.
For what it's worth, don't notice, but thank God for sweatpants, man.
Yeah. You look good, though.
Yeah? Yeah, thanks.
Good. You look like you got some sun in the last couple of weeks. Have you been in town or did you take off and go somewhere?
No, I didn't go anywhere. And it's hard to believe that I look like I've got sun. I'm as bad as white gets, man. So I did get out and golf a little bit, though. So
there you go. Well, dude, it just feels like the Hawks haven't played a game for a month, man, doesn't it? I mean, that Thursday night game against Arizona, and then having the weekend off, and then having this weekend off. It's not very often that we can wait 2 consecutive weekends without having a Seahawks game during the actual weekend itself. So it's good to be back talking Seahawks football, man. It feels like it's been forever.
I know, right? I mean, this feels longer than the bye week in some ways, right? So yeah, I'm curious. Like, you look at this game after the Seahawks had what anybody would have to say was a pretty disastrous stretch where they lost 3 of 4 to them in the division. And then they come back and they get, I thought it was a pretty solid win against the Cardinals all around.
Yep.
What do you make of this team? Like, where are you at on the Seahawks?
Yeah, well, maybe it's because I'm in the Thanksgiving spirit still from Thursday. Maybe it's because I got a belly full of turkey and mashed potatoes, and it's not my brain's not functioning properly. But I think they're in a really, really good spot right now, and I mean a really, really good spot. So if we go back to the Thursday game against Arizona, we saw that this team has the capability of getting after the quarterback. Right? How often can they bring that out? How often can Carlos Dunlap have a game like that they had? How often can KJ Wright at his age corral a quarterback on the run the way he corralled Kyler Murray in that game? But we saw at least that it's there, right? How consistent will it be? I don't know. But I think there was a point in time with this pass rush, dude, where we were both kind of looking at each other going, my God, do they even have a pass rush? If they need one, can they even dial up a pass rush if they need to? And we saw in the Arizona game that they can. I mean, Brian, the acquisition of Carlos Dunlap right now looks like a freaking home run by John Schneider, an absolute grand slam walk-off home run by John Schneider. And you know what? I'm not even expecting that guy to do what he's done the last 3 games. Can he be 75% of what he's been the last 3 games? If he can do that the rest of the way, and they're getting the running backs back. I mean, you saw what a difference even Carlos Hyde was on the damn street before the Seahawks picked him up. And just having him on the roster as a part of that offense last Thursday against the Cardinals was a major, major difference for this offense. So the acquisition of Carlos Dunlap and the return of even 1/3 of what their running game was supposed to look like for me, I don't know, dude. Maybe I'm just drinking the Kool-Aid, Brian, but it made this team to me look totally different. Totally different.
So if you were GM, you would put all your efforts into acquiring more guys named Carlos, it sounds like.
I would. Yes, exactly.
A Carlos philosophy. Yeah, I mean.
Even if they're soccer players, I would bring them in. I don't care. Yeah.
I mean, you watch the games this weekend. Rams fall, right?
Yeah.
They lose the 49ers. Crazy. You could talk about how people say, oh, man, Sean McVay has got Pete Carroll's number. Well, Pete Carroll's got Kyle Shanahan's number. Well, Kyle Shanahan's got Sean McVay's number. It's crazy, right? And you see the Cardinals. They drop one to what's not a very good Patriots team, right?
No.
The Patriots had 180 yards of offense and 2 turnovers, and they win. Like, what?
Yeah.
And then you look at Green Bay just dominating the Bears. And if I kind of look at the NFC, like Tampa Bay, not a believer. I'm not a believer. I'm not worried about Tampa Bay. New Orleans, Softy. I'm telling you, New Orleans does not freak me out. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. I look at New Orleans. I heard someone, I think it was Colin Cowherd, saying, yeah, there's this clear top tier teams. There's Kansas City, Pittsburgh, and New Orleans. And then there's no way. No way. Pittsburgh and Kansas City deserve that. New Orleans doesn't, in my opinion. I think they've beat up on some weak teams. So I think the Seahawks, like you said, their only competition in the NFC, in my mind, is the Seahawks. If the Seahawks can obviously want to get healthy, you never get truly healthy, but if they can stay a little healthier than they've been, they can start building, have more consistency on offense, have more consistency on defense, put games together. Then honestly, there's not a team in the NFC that I'm like, other than playing in Green Bay in January. That's the one thing I don't want. Otherwise, I think the Seahawks can go toe-to-toe with any of these teams and be potentially the team I'd pick to win any of those games.
That was the first thing that was going to come out of my mouth, is avoid going to Lambeau Field in January at all costs. I mean, we're talking about late January, right? And if the Super Bowl ends up getting pushed back, it could be even later in January. I mean, hell, this thing keeps getting pushed back. They might play in Lambeau Field in the spring, for crying out loud. But I'm totally with you. That's the one venue in the NFL that would freak me out. And they had some fans there yesterday for that game, you may have noticed. So who knows what that venue is going to look like at the end of January. I mean, we're talking 2 months away. You know as well as I, things are changing by the day in this country with this damn thing by the week. So who knows, right? How many fans could be at that park at the end of January in 8 weeks from now? But I mean, the Bears, to me, that win last night by Green Bay, dude. I mean, obviously they hammered him and give him credit for that, but to me, Matt Nagy is just a turd of a coach. I mean, Matt Nagy offers nothing to me if I'm a Bears fan. So I'm not going to give the Packers a lot of credit for that game last night. I will give the Niners credit for beating the Rams. The Niners all of a sudden wake up and think that, hey, if they go to 8 teams in the NFC playoffs, they might have a shot of getting in. And maybe if they get some guys back, maybe even doing some damage. So for the first time in a long time, the parity in this conference is unbelievable. Every week, there seems to be a new flavor of the day in the NFC. I mean, there was obviously a couple weeks there where we thought it was the Hawks. A couple weeks we thought it was Green Bay. Then it was New Orleans. I mean, hell, even Arizona has had their turn as the new hot team on the block in the NFC. The Buccaneers for sure have had their shot with that. So it's wide open. And I just think the Seahawks are getting healthy and they're adding players that they desperately need at the exact right time. And I'll tell you what else I loved about last week, man. Jamal Adams is kind of salty. I like that. I think it was Joe Fan that asked about some, coverage plays. And I think Joe was totally well within his rights to ask Jamal Adams about his weakness in pass coverage, because he's not a good cover safety. I mean, he's never been a great cover safety. Even with the Jets, he was not a good.
That's not true.
Yes, it is true. Yes, it is true.
Based on
he
what?
was not a good cover safety.
Based on what?
Based on the way he played. Jamal Adams, why do you think they used Jamal Adams as a box safety on the line of scrimmage as much as they did? Because him getting after the quarterback and him getting in the backfield was a much bigger impact on any game than he could have as a cover safety. For sure. For sure. And look at him right now. And don't quote me numbers. I don't give a damn what PFF said. I don't give a crap what your little power ranking calculator said. Jamal Adams was not a great cover safety with the Jets, and he's not a great cover safety right now.
Well, yeah. I think you could
say
there
it is. Well, yeah.
You can say you don't give a damn about the numbers.
I don't
think anyone gives a damn about some just random perspective on Jamal Adams coverage, right?
Let me ask you a question. Do you think Jamal Adams is a good cover safety right now?
I think he is a good cover safety. I think
Ken Norton,
Ken Norton uses him in a way that is absolutely not to his strength as a cover player.
Well, we'll just have to agree to disagree on that, because when I see Jamal Adams in coverage against Julian Edelman, I see a deer in headlights against the.
What safety is covering a slot receiver? Like, that's not the safety's job.
Dude, Brian, it doesn't matter. He's totally out of his element. And whether it's the safety's job or not, it's not Jamal Adams' job to cover, period. It's Jamal Adams' job to get after quarterback and explode running back to the backfield.
It's interesting that we're getting off on this, but I'll spend a second on it here.
But I did think Joe was well within his rights to bring that up.
I was going to say that, but first of all, you have to be Joe Fan's biggest fan, since he now has someone else that will ask questions that make Pete and Dave Pearson pissed off at press conferences. But yeah, I mean, look, I think that the Seahawks use Cam Chancellor. Everyone's like, Jamal Adams is just a glorified linebacker.
Yeah.
Cam Chancellor was a glorified linebacker, and he was freaking amazing. So don't tell me that like he can't be an in-box safety and be a great player.
I agree.
The difference is they never asked Cam to blitz, and they didn't ever, he rarely did. He blew up run plays. He took on tackles and tight ends. He ended some guys. Like, he just was crazy down there. And then he was a decent cover player, right? But I think what Cam was better at than Jamal is potentially playing zone. Like, I think Cam was very wise in terms of which zone coverages to, in terms of knowing where the hot spots were in a zone and playing there. I think Jamal Adams hasn't shown that he's a great zone cover guy. I think he's more of a man guy. That's my perspective based on what I've seen of him. And I don't think the team is using him that way at all. And so, he even made reference to that this week. He said he hasn't even played man once yet this year. He's looking forward to the starts. So I still, to me, the spotlight should be on Ken Norton still, and how he's utilizing the talent he has. I think you could say pretty much every player on the Seahawks defense is worse now than they were the previous year.
Yes.
Wherever they were, that's coaching. There's no way that every player just regresses, year after year. So anyway,
that part I agree with. I mean, look, I think you're bringing up two different things though, because the question of, is Jamal Adams a above average coverage safety? I don't think he is an above average coverage safety. And honestly, if the guy wants that much money and he's worth 2 first-round draft picks, my perspective is I don't give a damn if it's zone or man. If he can cover, he's going to find a way to give you something and contribute in pass coverage in no matter what scheme you're playing, and he hasn't been able to do it. But I do agree with what you said, though, about, hey, even if he's not a very good safety and pass coverage, so what? He still could be worth the 2 first-round draft picks. He still could be worth everything you gave up for him and everything you're about to pay him because of the impact he can make at the line of scrimmage. So I totally agree with you on that part. I think Jamal Adams is going to be, before it's all said and done, I think Seahawks fans will be happy the guy's here. That's my point.
Yeah, I think that's right. So about this game tonight.
Ooh, yes.
About this game tonight. I asked this question on Twitter, and I want to hear your answer.
Okay.
So I'll give you a few different options. Seahawks win 42-37.
Okay.
Seahawks win 12-7.
Right.
Seahawks win 20-7.
Wow.
So the big difference is they score over 40. They hold the Eagles under 10.
Right.
Or they win by 13. So a little bit more comfortable. Which of those would you be most excited about?
Well, first of all, I'll take any of them, obviously.
Sure.
But the one of the three that would excite me the most, probably 20-7, to be honest with you. I could see the Seahawks, running the ball a ton with Carson back and Hyde back in this game tonight, limiting possessions in the game. I would not be surprised if that's the game plan, as a matter of fact, Brian. And the Hawks only have 8 or 9 possessions total in this game against Philadelphia. I mean, I'm watching a Husky football team that against Oregon State had the ball for 15 minutes in the second half on 2 drives, almost took the entire quarter because they were pounding the ball down the Beavers' throat, just a couple weeks ago. So I could see them absolutely going down that road, taking some pressure off Russell Wilson. I can see Russell Wilson maybe throwing a pick in the end zone and maybe, taking away an opportunity that would have been a 27-6 type of game. 20-7 to me means the defense is doing what they're supposed to do against a really bad offense. And to see a really bad offense get healthy on this defense, especially after what they did against Arizona, that would be a big downer. So I have way more confidence in the offense to bounce back from kind of a subpar showing tonight against Philadelphia than I do the defense to bounce back on a subpar showing against the Eagles offense. So I just want to see this defense to continue to get better. And they got to show that. And step number 2 coming out of Arizona is to shut down a weak Eagle offense, which, by the way, may include Jalen Hurts at quarterback tonight. Who knows, right? How much, playing time he's going to get. So I would take 27 all day of those 3 options you gave me.
Yeah, I think that's probably the right answer. I guess where I lean most is I think this team is going to win or lose based on how dominant their offense is.
Right.
I think this offense to me has taken a step backwards over at least the past month. Everyone's talking about the defense for good reason, but the defense only has to be okay. Like even they only have to be like below average for this team to be a contender. The offense needs to be elite. They need to be the best offense in football, and they're not the best offense in football right now. They might even be the best within the best 3 offenses in football right now. And so I think the Eagles defense is pretty decent. Their defensive line's really good. And you got Cedric Ogbuehi playing right tackle against Brandon Graham and Fletcher Cox. And so if you score 42 points, I would feel pretty good. But if you gave up 37 to this offense, that would really suck.
Again, so, I think you feel, but don't you feel more comfortable with, okay, let's say the offense scores 20, but what does 20 points look like? Does 20 points look like 400 yards of offense and they just couldn't punch it in the red zone? Maybe they had a fumble near the goal line. Maybe something wacky happened. Maybe they went on an 8-minute drive like they did in London a couple years ago against the Raiders and just ended the game and took a knee at the 4-yard line that easily could have been a touchdown there. So what does 20 points look like, right? I mean, I'd be more fired up about the defense continuing to get better because I agree with you. This team will go as far as their offense takes them, but let's face it, the offense could be elite and they still could lose the NFC Championship game if the defense gets pushed around by a team like New Orleans or Green Bay. What you don't want to have is that 42-37 loss in January, right? I mean, you imagine, I can totally close my eyes, Brian, and imagine a scenario where the offense scores 35 points in a playoff game and they lose because the defense gets their ass kicked. So I've got confidence in the offense being there when they need to be. I don't have that confidence yet with the defense, and I think the defense takes a step tonight towards that confidence.
I think you might have convinced me. You're right.
Yes.
That
if I convinced you that Jamal Adams can't cover.
No, not at all. I will say, man, you know me, I love defense. I've kind of given up on this being a great defense for sure.
Yeah, oh, for sure. Yes,
but
totally.
If they can just annihilate quarterbacks, that's what I love. I just love seeing quarterbacks get hit and fumble and make bad passes. Like that's just the best. They look so stupid when they're.
You know what? If you like that, then watch 58 playing for Washington right now.
Oh,
watch 58 for UW.
He was a monster, and they could not stop him. He was Aaron Donald in college ranks right there. He was great,
and it could have been worse too. It could have been worse, man. So watch him play, and you'll fall in love with 58.
All right, everybody. Well, I'm going to end it there. Thank you, Softy, for coming on. Always great to see you. Who are you going to have on today? Where should people tune in at 950 KJR? What are they going to do?
Yes. So we're going to go until kickoff tonight. I assume nobody will be listening after 5:15. But if you are, then we appreciate you. You and my mom will be tuning in after the Seahawks kickoff tonight. Ron Jaworski is going to join us from the booth. He's doing the game for Westwood One. Rhea Hughes from WIP Philadelphia will be on as well. And then Hugh Millen is sitting in for Dick Fain. I'll ask Hugh, by the way, today on the radio show, what he thinks of Jamal Adams as a cover safety.
Ask him specifically about the zone versus man.
Yeah. If he's playing zone versus man, how much will that impact him as a cover safety? I will ask him that for you on today's show.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And send my best to Hugh. Take care. And if you haven't already, folks, sign over at patreon.com/hawkblogger. Join up, get immediate access to the Slack channel. We make fun of Softy there all the time. It's super fun. He has no idea. And
have at
it. Hit subscribe, hit the little bell to get notified when we go live. And otherwise, good luck tonight, everybody. Go Hawks. Let's get it on.